Thank you. Who has to go to the bathroom? I do too. You now have empathy. I've done my job. That's one of the things that I want to communicate to you today is how to empathize with your users. I really do have to go to the bathroom. Anyway, I'm excited to be here. This is going to be fun. We'll see if I can speed this up. We're a little bit behind time. Maybe they'll give me the whole clock. We'll see. My goal today here is to help you to help your teams. Whether you're in a leadership position or you're an individual contributor, there is so much that you can do to help change the culture of your organization, to turn it from one that just comes and does a job, produces a thing, to one that learns. And I hope that I can impress upon you how critical that is if you want to succeed. I'm going to start by telling you a story about a jacket. I'm a little guy, and I have a hard time finding clothes because nothing fits. I even have to go and shop in the little boys section sometimes. I don't care. It's not humiliating. It's just frustrating because nothing fits. I buy jackets, I buy shirts, and everything just drowns me. It's really frustrating. And this past winter, I've been on a hunt for a new coat, and I can't find one. I still haven't found one. And the problem is I'm busy. I don't have time to go to the store and try everything on. It's so much easier online. And I've been hunting and hunting and hunting and spend a lot of my time doing this. I am a huge Amazon Prime shopper, and there's a key for me because I'm also really, really frugal. I don't like to spend my money. I want to spend it where I know I'm getting the bang for the buck. And so what's important for me is that little line item up there next to Prime, next to the dollars, where it says free returns. Because I know that the risk is low, that I can try this jacket, and then I can send it back if it doesn't work because it's got like a 95% chance that it's not going to work because nothing fits me, right? So I'm frustrated because I've been looking for a jacket and looking for a jacket, and one day, about 3-4 weeks ago, I was on Amazon and I saw this. It says new. Try different sizes, colors, and styles at home for 7 days for free. That sounds great. So I click on it and it says this. Fill up a box of clothes and we'll ship it to you. That sounds awesome, right? So I started filling up a box with a whole bunch of coats, different styles, different brands, different colors. And then I saw this. Holy cow, $566. That's a lot of money. You told me it'd be free, though. So I clicked the next button to see what was next. I didn't know if I was actually committing. Are they going to charge my card for this? Proceed to shipping. Hey, that's pretty cool. $566 worth of merchandise, and I will be charged $0. I'm in. A couple of days later, this box, in fact, 2 boxes, showed up on my door. I opened it up, and I had all these coats. It was awesome, and I tried them all on. You know what? None of them fit. Not a single one of them fit. They were all still too big. Every one of them. Even though they were small, they were all still too big. So it didn't work for me. But guess what? I'm going to try it again. It was awesome. Something's happening here that is disrupting another industry. Amazon is keenly aware of my pain point. And they, I believe, even though it didn't work this time, I am optimistic that they'll be able to deliver. Now, I do have a few concerns about all the shipping and what it's doing to the environment, of all this stuff going back and forth. But you know what? It's a lot easier for someone like me than going into the store. And do you think that the team at Amazon learned something during this experience? They didn't get a sale, but for them, was it a loss? I don't think that it was. They have a loyal customer, and they're learning about my buying habits, and they're learning about what they need to do to deliver a service that's going to disrupt an entire industry again, something that they are on track to continue to do. They just announced healthcare. So my question to you today is, what are you working on? And why are you working on it? Ask yourself that question right now, and then go back and ask that question to your team. Every one of you should be able to answer that immediately. Every morning, what am I working on and why? Let's talk about Kodak for a moment. It's the classic case of disruption. And it's almost a cliche for me to bring it up, but there's a reason that I wanted to, because there's a point I wanted to make about Kodak that a lot of people don't think about. Yes, they missed the ball. They missed digital. And in fact, it's really sad because if you didn't know it, the digital camera was actually developed at Kodak. One of their engineers came up with the idea and they dismissed it. But the point I wanted to make about Kodak today is that a lot of people don't think about is what business that they were in. This is why Kodak filed for bankruptcy in 2012, is they thought they were in the business of selling film and cameras. They're not. They were in the business of capturing memories. So what are you working on and why? Here's another company that doesn't understand, actually I should say didn't, because they're basically out of business, doesn't understand what business that they are in. They thought that they were in the business of making a machine. If you're not familiar with Shearer, they hired some of the best industrial designers and engineers to create the world's most sophisticated juice press that had just the right amount of pressure that it could apply to these cold pressed bags and to squeeze out the juice for you automatically in the convenience of your home. And it cost $700. It was an engineering marvel. But guess what they found out? Once they started shipping these things, people found out you could just squeeze the bag, and you didn't even need the machine. And not only could you squeeze it, but you actually got the juice out of the bag faster than the machine did. So, you have to understand that you will be disrupted. Borders. Does anyone remember Borders? Blockbuster. What were they in the business of? They thought they were in the business of renting VHS tapes. They weren't. They thought they were in the business of renting. Do you remember, did anybody go there where you actually got the big Velcro bag and you actually carried the VCR home? Did anybody do that? It wasn't just tapes. Man, no. Anyway, they've been disrupted by Netflix. The record labels have been disrupted by Pandora, Apple Music, and Spotify. Why? It's because these companies don't understand the business that they were in. And the thing that I want you to understand today is to put yourselves in the shoes of your customers and understand what they are trying to do and to understand the problem you're trying to solve for them. The major networks are being disrupted right now. There is a move afoot where it isn't just the channels that these things are happening, where these things are occurring. Have you been following the billion-dollar budgets that Netflix and Amazon and Apple are investing into original content? Comcast and CBS and Fox are going to be obsolete in a few years because there will be nothing left to show on their through their channels because everyone else has moved somewhere else. Let's talk about Uber for a moment. The ultimate disruption in the taxi industry. But something that is so interesting about these companies, it is the exact opposite story of Shearer. Uber is a $50 billion company, and they don't own a single vehicle. Airbnb is a $43 billion company, and they own zero real estate. Software is eating the world. You understand that, right? You're here because you're on teams that are building products. But the companies that are successful are the ones that are investing in the right pieces. They're not building $700 juicers. They're building businesses that deliver actual value to customers. Is anyone familiar with Alibaba? $500 billion company. Has anyone heard of Helix? Here's a new company that's disrupting healthcare. This company is basically a marketplace for genomics. You can take, in the convenience of your home, a saliva sample and ship this off to their lab, and they now have an app store where you can go and shop and learn things about your ancestry or health concerns or certain allergies or anything that you want, that you can now choose and shop from all of these things after they've sequenced your DNA. They just got I think a $10 million investment. Amazing new startup who understands a need that has happened, and they don't own a single lab. They're not processing the DNA. They're building a business. They're turning an Uber on top of DNA. So, two of my favorite quotes from Eric Ries. I give these in every presentation. What if we found ourselves building something that no one wanted? And in that case, what did it matter if it was on time or on budget? And he follows that up to say, we must learn the truth about which elements of our strategy are working to realize our vision and which are just crazy. We must learn what customers really want, not what they say they want or what we think they should want. And that is your job. You as product people, people that your companies have invested in, people that have been hired to deliver products, it's not about what you can crank out. You have to actually deliver something of value to the customers. So you don't find that tomorrow they're just squeezing juice packs with their bare hands. Okay? So, let's talk a little bit about product discovery. I was so excited when I opened up the agenda for the conference and I saw that there's a session for this tomorrow afternoon. I can't wait to attend. There are a few topics that I'm more passionate about today. I'll give you a high-level summary of product discovery today, and the best way to understand what product discovery is to contrast it with delivery, because I guarantee you that every one of you know what delivery is. Delivery is building products. Discovery, on the other hand, is deciding what to build. And I'm sure that all of your organizations don't do enough of this. You might be really, really good, and if you are, I'd love to come talk to you and hear about the things that where you're succeeding, but I'm sure you can do better, because this is a very, very difficult part of the process for developing products. What are the goals with these two differences? Well, with product delivery, the goal is to ship fast, right? We've got to build this thing, we've got to get it out the door. Todd just announced a whole bunch of new features today. I'm sure they've been feeling the heat leading up to that announcement, trying to get that out the door. But did they build the product? Did they ship the right features? I love the new goal feature in Pendo. I've been waiting for that for a year, because it doesn't matter if you don't know what the needle is, right? Can't tell anybody if you moved it if you don't know what it was. So product discovery, on the other hand, is trying to understand what we should build. So what is the goal there? What is the opposite of shipping fast? Well, let's talk a little bit about that. If we look back 20 years ago, at the turn of the century, there was a big change that happened in software development, and we all started adopting Agile and started taking over, right? And it radically changed the way that we worked. The goal was to help us to understand if we were building the product that our stakeholders wanted, to remove the disparity between management and engineering. And it helped dramatically. We sped up the process, we took waterfalls, and we turned them from annual things down to 2-week things. And it got a lot better. Now, as we've progressed, we've started to talk about user experience. And with user experience, it allows us to determine if we're building something that our customers can actually use. And we're getting better. But the problem is just because something is usable doesn't mean it's useful. And just because I can use something quickly doesn't mean I'm actually getting value out of it or it's actually solving a real problem for me. As we've moved along, the industry's gotten better and better, and we've introduced the concept of lean and picking up the pace. And we're now questioning, Are we actually building things that our customers want? We're listening to the customers. The problem is our customers don't often know. If Shearer had gone, and I don't know what research they did, I'm putting words in their mouth, but if they had gone and talked to customers, I'm sure they said, I would love a cold press juice press that looks elegant and sits on my counter in my flat. But do they need it? So just like Todd said, where you need to be focused today and the evolution of successful product discovery is understanding the jobs that your customers are trying to do. Because it's not just delivering what they want, it is solving the right problems for our customers. And you need to be more concerned about solving their problems than what they're asking for. So with this process, we're answering critical questions earlier and earlier in the process, and we're moving from output to outcomes. I challenge you to change your vocabulary as a team. Stop talking about features, stop talking about your cadence, and start talking about outcomes and the results that you will have. So, what is the goal of product discovery? It is to learn as fast as you possibly can. I'd love to quote directly Teresa Torres here, who is an absolute luminary in the space. You need to be following her if you're not. But she catalogs the old way of working against the new way of working. Print this out, hang it above your desk. The way that you will succeed with products is where initiatives emerge from a deep understanding of your customer, and they are iteratively tested. We must develop deep empathy for people that need to go to the for knowledge of our customers. Our customers are the experts. We are probably wrong if we're making decisions alone and then we experiment and invest as data warrants. This is how it's done. This is the future. This is how successful technology companies are succeeding today. Ed Catmull, the CEO of Pixar, says, I believe the best managers acknowledge and make room for what they do not know. Not just because humility is a virtue, but because until one adopts that mindset, the most striking breakthroughs cannot occur. I believe that managers must loosen the controls, not tighten them. This makes companies so uncomfortable. But they must accept risk. They must trust the people they work with and strive to clear the path for them. And always they must pay attention to and engage with anything that creates fear. Moreover, successful leaders embrace the reality that their models may be wrong or incomplete. Only when we admit that we don't know can we ever hope to learn it. It requires humility, and it requires you to be uncomfortable. So let's talk about culture here today. Culture, I've got a list of a few things here from Seth Gotholf. We need humble teams. We need permission to fail. These teams must be self-directed. You've got to empower them and let them work. We need transparency across the whole organization. It doesn't mean just transparency that you know what your coworker's working on, but the marketing team and the sales team, they need to understand what this is working. The data and information must flow across your organization and across your product cloud. As an organization, we must have a bias towards action. We can spend all day long planning, and most of us do. Stop it. The best thing that you can do is go back to your office and begin. Stop planning. We do too much planning. And lastly, you need empathy and collaboration across your organization. So let's talk about process. I've now told you the right way to work, the right mindset that you have, and the culture that you need to have as a team. Now what do? It should look like this, or this, or this. Maybe this. This clicker's not fast enough. This. I'm sure you've seen these. Do you guys have one of these? Is this one yours? Is that one yours? You have. I can keep going. I got a whole bunch of these. Is this one yours? Maybe this one? This is the best process. The other ones are way, way too complicated. And in fact, I'm going to even go far beyond this. You as an organization need to be less worried about your process and your flow and your double diamond loop. What is the process for creating great products? It's doing, testing, and learning from it. Nothing else matters. There is no magic or magic wand or silver bullet that you can find. I know you're searching the internet and you're reading the books and you're trying to figure out how to make this happen. All you need are the right people and the right culture and people that are willing to learn, and that's how you'll solve this problem. It really could be said as outcomes, right? Plan something, see what happens, and then observe the outcome of that. Really, all we're trying to do here is take the abstract and make it concrete. We're trying to get from here over to here. That's all you're trying to do. Don't get caught up in making sure that you take this exact step and then you prototype this and then you test it with 14.7 customers and you take their information back. You just need to do. So this, I'm not saying there's anything bad with this. I'm saying too often we're caught up in this and we're looking for too much complexity. What is the answer for process? This is the answer. Product management, user experience, and engineering. I call it the triumvirate. It is the perfect mix to create a product. These people are the ones that are going to build this. These are the people that you need to be working with every day, and you should be more concerned about your relationship with these people than you are about your double diamond loop. The team could even look a little bit more like this. Additionally, QA or researcher, marketers, and DevOps, visual designers, prototypers. Here's the problem, though, is as we have these teams, and we're talking about the difference between delivery and discovery, how many of your organizations look like this? Little bit of discovery and a whole lot of delivery, right? We're spending all our time building this thing. We're having a few customer calls, we might doing some requirements gathering, we might write a couple user stories, and then we hand it over to the UX, and they design some high-end mocks, and then it's code, 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 code. No looking back, no checks, no bounces, we just code. That's not how it needs to be. It needs to look like this, and there's some key differences between those two slides. You'll notice that discovery is certainly, we've invested more time in discovery, but look at the teams and where they're involved. You notice there's an engineer over on the discovery side? You notice there's a PM over on the code side? Does that make you uncomfortable as a product manager? Are you wondering what you're supposed to be doing over there? Good. Go talk to an engineer and figure it out. You should not pat yourself on the back because you're agile, thinking that you're not waterfall, just because you're working in 2-week waterfalls. I'm serious. We all think that agile is this amazing thing. All we've done is we've shortened it. It's better, but not a lot. If we are working in siloed functions, and we are not iterating and having feedback, we might as well still be calling ourselves waterfall. So, as we're moving from the abstract to the concrete, this is what we need to be involved in. Contextual inquiry, research, job stories, empathy mapping, prototyping, user testing. And when we get to the code side, the PM and the designer should still be involved with interaction, visual, and validation. You don't stop. Really, this is called dual-track development, and it looks more like this. But I don't even like this here, because when I believe when a lot of people hear dual-track, it still sounds very not cross-functional. It sounds like them over here and us over here. They're doing discovery, we're doing delivery. It really should look more like this. A dotted line there, where you're iteratively moving back fluidly between the two as you're discovering and delivering and learning. That's where a product like Pendo is so valuable, to be able to understand what your customers, and mention a couple of those ways that we're doing that in just a moment. But this is the future. This is how you must be working. And if you're not doing this today at your organizations, you must have this conversation with them. And if they're not going to listen, do it anyway. No excuses. The worst they could do is fire you, and then you could come get a job at Pendo. They're hiring. Seriously, this is your moment. There are so many jobs in this industry right now. If your organization is not willing to change, show them they're wrong. And go and work for an organization that is willing to do it. So let's talk about roadmap. You now know how to work. How do you know what to do? Well, this, unfortunately, I apologize if AHA is in the room, but this is not your roadmap. If your roadmap looks like this is not a roadmap. What I want to propose to you today is this is roadmap. And I hope that as an industry we can start changing the word roadmap and what that word means. If your roadmap is a spreadsheet full of user stories, or it's some 3-year burned down Gantt chart, you're missing the mark and you're never going to deliver value. A roadmap begins with your vision. It then progresses to high-level strategy, objectives that you're going to achieve and that you're tracking, and then into individual experiments. Those then flow down to each individual release. This is your roadmap. Your roadmap is your vision. It is not an endless list of user stories in Jira that have been groomed for 3 years. Okay? So, what is the content in that roadmap? Absolutely, you need some clarity. 4 to 6 weeks of solid, clear releases. The following few months are planned with high-level project briefs describing the problem and the opportunity. And beyond that, it's speculative. Loose ideas that align with our mission and our vision. Spend more time understanding and empathizing with the user than grooming stories. Sources, qualitative feedback from our customers, quantitative data that you can get from all of the different sources. So to begin with that vision, I want to read you another quote here. Steven Sinofsky from Andreessen Horowitz and also Microsoft says, "Without a point of view, there is no point. In our world of A/B testing, MVPs, and iteration, we can sometimes lose sight of why a product and company can or should exist. The reason is that a company brings together people to go after a problem space with a unique point of view. Companies are not built to simply take requests and get those implemented, or to throw out a couple of ideas and move forward with the ones that get traction. You can do that as work for hire or consulting, but not if you're building a product. It is important to maintain a unique point of view as a North Star when deciding what to do, when, and why." How many of you work for McDonald's? You actually do? Oh. Then stop. Stop operating a drive-through window. If you don't work for a fast food restaurant, then stop allowing everyone, both internally and your customers, to drive up and place an order. You're not McDonald's. So don't act like that. You must build a product for them, not take their order and ask them if they want it supersized. It's not what you're trying to do. Okay? Let me give you a couple examples here about North Stars. Mountain View Hospital is committed to care and improvement of human life. In recognition of this commitment, we strive to deliver high-quality, cost-effective health care in the community we serve. Are you inspired? If you worked at Mountain View Hospital in their product department, do you know what you're working on and why? I mean, they just said it, but compare that with Huntsman Cancer Institute in Salt Lake City, Utah, whose mission is to understand cancer from its beginnings, to use that knowledge in the creation and improvement of cancer treatments. to relieve the suffering of cancer patients and to provide education about cancer risk, prevention, and care. Which company would you rather work for? Let me give you another example. Lynda.com, who's just acquired by LinkedIn, is to help you learn the skills you need to achieve your full potential. Would you, as a product team, know what to tackle, where to start? Do you have the roadmap you need? How about Pluralsight's instead? Our mission is to democratize professional technology learning. We believe that everyone should have the opportunity to build a career they're passionate about. We've gone beyond the traditional education model to put the power back in your hands because we believe learning shouldn't be confined to a classroom, rigorous schedule, or a select minority. How about that? Now do you know where to begin? Which of those companies would you rather work for? And the last one here, Ford Motor Company. People working together as a lean global enterprise to make people's lives better through automotive and mobility leadership. What? Okay, how about Tesla? It was founded in 2003 by a group of engineers in Silicon Valley who wanted to prove that electric cars could be better than gasoline-powered cars, with instant torque, incredible power, and zero emissions. And this isn't just better because there's more words and they're better and they sound fluffier. Listen to what they're saying. Tesla's products would be cars without compromise. Each new generation would be increasingly affordable, helping the company work towards its mission to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable transport. Do you feel motivated? I do when I read that. I want to work for this company. I want to work for a company that believes in something like this. So companies are getting better and better with product discovery. We're getting better at doing research. Hopefully you've talked to a few customers in the past few weeks. But here's one of the biggest pieces that are still missing from the puzzle, is they're not having the conversation about outcomes instead of features. They're not defining success criteria or goals, and they're not recording the results. And lastly, here's the piece that most companies are still missing. Even those that are lean, even those that are doing good product discovery, even those that are building and measuring and learning, is taking that information and doing something with it. How many of you have shipped that great feature and you put it on the shelf and you didn't look back? You have to deliver V2. You have to deliver V2, or you've wasted all of your time and effort. So, let me talk a little bit about goals. We've talked about this vision that you must have as a company. Your individual team and your individual product must have a vision. If you are not setting goals and using OKRs as a company, you must. But here's the thing that I've found that teams must have to be successful as well. Many of us now are setting goals from the top down. They're cascading through our organization. We're tracking them quarter over quarter, and we're getting better. But most of us are setting those individually. We need to be doing this together as a team. How many of you are now sitting together with the product management group, though, and setting those goals? Or the UX team gets together and they set those goals. Engineers set those goals. We're going to be disserviced by setting those goals by discipline. These goals must be set as the product team, the triumvirate. The product manager and UX and the engineer need to set those goals together because we're going to achieve these goals together. So change the way that you're setting goals inside of your organization, that it's cross-functional and that it is serving that specific project that you're working on. So how do we then move into these projects? Some of the key things you need to realize is that, as I mentioned before, you have to begin. You're not going to know what it is that you need to do until you start. So, let me talk to you a little bit about how we do that as an experiment in your organization. It's so simple. when we talked about all of the process and all of the different approaches that you can take to build products, I believe it's as simple as these 5 things. You need to begin with an assumption. You need to then define the jobs that your customers are trying to do. Clearly articulate your hypothesis. Here's where we are today. Here's the results that we're going to see. We believe that if we do X, we will see Y. Clearly write out the scope of how you're going to proceed to do that. And then the last piece that you cannot miss is learning. Recording your results, talking as a team about what you're going to do, and then feeding that information back into your system to make your next decision. So, because we're running slow on time, I'm going to skip a couple of slides here. And I'm going to go here and tell you just a little bit about our ecosystem here at Workfront. This is the system that we've built today. I'll have to go add my sticky notes to the wall out there of the different tools that we have. But at the center of our world, we have our platform that our customers are using every day. We use Salesforce, Tatango, Zendesk, HireLogic for a customer portal, Marketo, and Amazon Redshift, where we're dumping all of this data and we're correlating this information. The thing that's exciting about what we're doing at Pendo is that everyone is on board. We have embraced Pendo as an entire company. This isn't just a product organization initiative. This is being paid for and implemented across the entire organization. You can see here we have product, marketing, customer success, customer support, and sales. All of us have embraced this. And we have taken the BDF scoring method from Pendo's recommendation, and we have implemented this. And every department in our organization is looking at this and figuring out how we can use that information to affect the work that we are doing. Looks like this. We're still in the early stages of it. Sorry, it's all redacted, but gives you a little bit of an idea of what it looks like that we're trying to do here, where you can see green, red, yellow. Taking the information from Pendo and from all of those different sources, we've combined this information into some great insights that are helping us to make critical decisions as a company. I just wanted to show you a couple screens from Pendo of things that we're learning. Being able to see inside of our product about where customers are clicking and what they are and are not using. We've just kicked off a huge initiative to design a brand new design system for a complete interface and user experience rewrite for our 16-year-old platform. We have a large, mature enterprise platform. We have been able to learn critical things about which features our customers are using, where they're clicking, and how they're using the product to help us to design this. We've been able to use the guides features to provide a seamless opt-in to betas, such as a brand new home screen inside of our application. Inside of the proofing viewer inside of our product, we've been able to see exactly who is using our product and reach out to them for customer discovery calls. And I love this quote. I apologize to read another quote to you, but this is an unsolicited quote from a member of my team who works in Poland, one of our designers. He says, "I'm using Pendo to get insight on usage of various elements within our application, to see the patterns and identify potential blockers for our users. After its implementation at Workfront, it became a basic tool which I'm using at the beginning of almost every project. Pendo made decision-making easier for our teams by providing valuable insights on feature usage, paths that users are taking, and pages they visit. Thanks to that, we were able to improve our product in every release by applying data-driven decisions and changes." I was so excited when he sent me this in Slack because we just invested a whole bunch of money and a whole bunch of time implementing this product. And it's exciting to see the results coming. So, in the home stretch here, I talked about empathy. I encourage you to think about the way that you approach the research that you are doing. Many of you maybe have a long history in doing research, but too often we approach it as a tourist, meaning we go and we visit and we observe and we take pictures, we document our experience. It's better than not doing it. But we need to do more than being do more than being a tourist. We need to experience this. Having the emotion and the actual connection to that outweighs brain knowledge every time. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, I can't go experience that. It's not like I work for Airbnb and I can go and I can stay in a home. Maybe I'm in education, or maybe I'm in fintech. How in the world can I experience this? Or maybe I'm in medicine and it's even harder. If I'm building prosthetics, how can I truly empathize with my customer? I'm willing to bet that you can go a lot farther than you think. I'm not suggesting something dramatic or rash, but get creative and think what it is that you can do. I love this story from a designer that worked at IDEO. They were building a new product for hospitals, and he actually checked himself into the ER. And he spent the entire day there, and I don't know the details of whether he actually faked it or if they knew what was going on, but he checked himself into the ER, and he had a camera strapped to his forehead to record the entire experience. How many of us would have gone to the hospital with our notebook and talked to the doctors and followed them around and listened to their conversations, instead of lying on a gurney for an entire day staring at ceiling panels? The things that they learned when they watched the video afterwards and saw hours and hours of footage of ceiling tiles dramatically influenced the product that they came up with. I worked for a company called Vivint. It's a home automation and a technology company. I built the user experience team there, and I have an embarrassing story, but I like to share this story because of the lesson that I learned and hope that you can take away from this and learn. I worked there for almost 4 years, but not until the 3rd year did I actually use our product. The day I walked into Vivint, my boss said, "Wade, install a system into your home. Schedule the installation. We'll have our team come out and put in the cameras, door locks, thermostat, automatic lights, everything." And I said, "No, I'm too busy. I got to build this team. I got to build this product." A year later, he came to me and said, "Wade, how's your system?" I said, "I haven't installed it yet." And he said, "Do it now." And I said, "I'll get on it. But I'm too busy." 2 years later, he came back to me and asked me how it's going, and I still hadn't done it. I had built a new home. I had just moved. I didn't want them screwing stuff into the walls. I said, "No, I'll do it later." 3 years later, I finally installed the system into my home. And it's amazing. It's an amazing product. I can turn the thermostat up from my phone. Every night at 11 o'clock, all the doors automatically lock. I learned more in 24 hours having installed that system than I did 3 years of research. And we did a lot of research, flying across the country, in people's homes, interviewing them. I was close to the customer. But I'll tell you what, I learned more in 24 hours using that product than I did in all of the research that I did. This looks like a beautiful Craftsman kitchen, does it not? I'm sure any of you would love this kitchen. This is not stock photography. This is not a customer's home. If you go through that door right there, on the other side of that door, you'll find cubicles. This home is in the middle of Vivint's office. We designed this home to help us get closer to our customers. So I'll ask you, how far are you willing to go? How serious are you about understanding your customer? How serious are you about developing products that customers love? So to conclude, the last thing I want to share with you is about reflection. Individually and as a team, I'm very, very passionate about this. I'm an avid journal writer, and I have a claim to fame that I have an entry in my journal for every single day of my life since 1998. It's a lot of work. But I honestly believe that a lot of the success and the maturity that I have in my life and in my career has come from reflection. Taking a few moments at the end of each day or early in the morning to ask myself, what did I accomplish? What obstacles did I encounter today? And what did I learn? If you will do this, I promise you that you will be better. So in summary, if you truly want to deliver these products and you truly want the kind of team that I've described today, a learning organization that is actually focused on outcomes instead of just output, this is what you need as an organization. You must have autonomous, co-located, cross-functional product teams with clear accountability. You must have a culture of goal setting and learning and a clear, inspirational, and actionable vision and strategy. And I always end with golden nuggets. You do not know what value is until you've actually delivered it into use. Remember, discovery is not a phase or a sprint. And if I can leave you one single thing today, that is the only way to win is to learn faster than anyone else. Thank you.